Bluetooth. Sometimes you want to listen to music, listen to podcast, or listen to me, and it's very important. But what if someone hacks it and starts speaking to you in a strange language? Grab a blanket, turn off your lights for true, scary Bluetooth-related horror stories. Hacked and stalked. Hi guys, I need advice. I don't know if this is what usually people talk about on this post, but for about 3 months I've been experiencing hacking from what I assume to be another tenant in my building. It began with hacking my Bluetooth speaker. I'd be listening to something while doing housework, and the next thing I know my device would be disconnected, and the hacker would start playing some very creepy and inappropriate music via my speaker. The main song they would play is Effed with an Anchor by Alice Storm, a song I never heard until this. If you choose to listen to this song, you'll see why you'll get immediately freaked out. I would try everything I could to turn it off, but they would put the volume at full and play again and again. This happened on 2 separate occasions. After this, I stopped using my Bluetooth speaker to prevent this from happening once again, until they hacked into my PlayStation and began playing the same song again on full volume, and continued to play after I tried to press pause or exit my music app. I then unplugged my PlayStation and have not used it again. Finally, yesterday, I'd asked Google a question via my Google Nest device, and straight after I heard a ding on the device, signaling someone else was controlling it. Straight after the ding, the hacker started playing creepy music once again. Different from the last time, it was an old song with a very creepy undertone, and the only words I remember are "Times are getting hard, boy." I straight away unplugged my device to stop the music, and have stopped using the device altogether. The reason this had freaked me out more than the last few times is the fact that I was on the phone with a friend at the time, talking about some personal things I had going on. Therefore, I believe the hacker is able to hear me. I am unsure whether this is due to them being a direct neighbor of mine, or whether they have hacked my device to listen to me. I'm completely stumped on what to do, as I've contacted my landlord, and they told me they'll send out a warning email to all tenants, but I need to contact my internet provider for further action. I then contacted my internet provider, and they said they can't do anything about it. I don't know what to do about this anymore. I've had to forfeit use of 3 separate devices to ensure this stops happening, but they continue to find a way to hack me. I feel incredibly unsafe and uneasy inside my apartment, becoming paranoid someone is listening or watching me. I feel as if I'm going crazy, so please give me advice. Mom got a messed up, disturbing call 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, my mom received a phone call from an unrestricted number talking about some messed up stuff and called me to come get her, so I pretty much lay out everything that happened. At 3:38 a.m., I got a text from my mother asking if I was still up. I replied yes and was curious as to what she was wanting, since it was a work night for me and she was always in bed early. My father is a firefighter and it was a night he was on shift, so I knew he was not home. Less than a minute after I replied, she called me, so I answered it, and my mom was very upset, crying actually, and was asking me to come pick her up from home, since I only live 2 streets away from her, so it takes me 2 minutes most to get there. I immediately say yes, throw out my little Bluetooth speaker thing I have on and start getting dressed, grab one of my pistols and proceed out my door. As I'm rushing to get ready, I'm asking what is wrong. She tells me that at about 3:28, she got a phone call on her Bluetooth from a restricted number and answered since it woke her up. Upon answering it, she said some guy started talking who she did not recognize. She's unclear of what he initially started saying when she picked up, since she was still out of it from waking up. But when alert, she said the man said he was babysitting a 9-year-old girl named Ashley on earlier. When she was on the couch with him, he did stuff to her, basically saying, through the Bluetooth, he molested her. Obviously, my mom is completely blindsided by this whole situation, and immediately starts asking who she's speaking to, asking if there's some kind of sick prank call, and says don't ever call her again, and hangs up. Immediately, the restricted number calls back again and tries talking to her once again, and again she states this better not be some sick prank and hangs up. So he calls a 3rd time and is saying stuff again, through which my mom was not sure what he was saying, since at this point she was very uncomfortable and headed to the kitchen to turn on all the lights and grab one of the knives. Again, she hung up. Number calls a 4th time, and my mom tells him to listen up, I'm done playing your games, I'm going to call the cops. Who is this? She said. He angrily replies, no, you listen up. I'm not here to answer your questions. You are here to listen to me now. You're going to stay on the line and listen to everything I did to this girl. Otherwise, I'm going into her room and doing it again. My mom hangs up again, and that's when she texts and calls me and stays on the line with her, as I'm quickly getting ready and heading over there. While on the line, He calls a fifth time, in which my mom ignores the call, but says he left a voicemail this time. While on my way there, he calls a sixth, seventh time, which my mom ignores, and then that's when I pull up to the side of her home. Also not sure if this is some weird coincidence or not, but I'm about 2-3 houses down from hers about to pull up, is when they stop calling. That being said, I was still around the corner, so her home wouldn't have been in sight yet when they stopped. So she jumps in my car and we drive to the police station, finally. I am also a firefighter for my city, so I knew a cop working, and knew I'd rather bring all this up to him as opposed to just calling them 911. So we get there and explain everything to him. Mom tells him about the voicemail. She says she doesn't want to listen to, and asks the cop if he can maybe get what number is calling. So cop listens to the voicemail and says if he can maybe listen to what is going on. So cop listens to it, says it's about 15 seconds long, and says, yeah, you probably do not want to listen to that. Anyways, I asked if it's possible to trace a restricted number, since I thought you could, but he says he doesn't think you can, so he goes back and gets a supervising officer to get his input on what could be done. Supervising officer comes and confirms that a restricted call cannot be traced and says unfortunately there's really nothing they can do about it. He asked my mom if she either recognized the man's voice, knew a little girl named Ashley, or heard the sounds of a little girl basically crying or struggling on the phone calls, and my mom said no. So therefore, there really isn't any way or any reason to get a detective involved. He also suggests that there's probably a strong possibility it's just some guy fabricating the whole story, because that's how weirdos do that shit. Just kind of crazy that out of any random number this dude could call to get off, it happens to be my mother. The officer says, best case scenario, my mom's cell phone provider could most likely trace the call and see the number and who it belongs to, but assured us that most likely the phone company would be absolutely not wanting to give us any information and would need orders from a judge. So basically, we just filed a report, brought my mom home, waited until my dad got up from work in the morning. Has anyone ever heard of something like this happening? Should I try to get a hold of the phone company and see what I can do about this? The way I see it, if anyone makes a bomb threat to a school, which is usually always just some kid or someone not serious at all, it is always treated as if it is true and becomes a huge ordeal. So why not treat a phone call of a little girl being molested not in the same category? Should I pursue getting information or not? Terrifying taxi ride. This story didn't happen to me, but a very close male friend of 7 years. Now, I was hanging out with him and a couple of other friends, and we were talking about our creepy experiences. Here is a story from his perspective. A little background: I was 16 years old when this happened, living in Amman City in the capital of Jordan in the Middle East. I was in high school. I used to weigh 85 kgs and was about 192 centimeters tall, and I was a calm but intimidating person if I wanted to be, but never really messed with anyone unless I was provoked to. I just got off school and decided I wanted to go downtown because I was bored and didn't want to stay at home, and I want to get some DVDs and games to enjoy later on. So I decided to take the bus as I wanted to save money, but I had to take a taxi to the bus stop, which was less than 10 minutes by car ride. When I stopped a coming taxi, inside the vehicle appeared a light-skinned man with black greasy hair, wearing a worn-out dark green shirt and a pair of jeans, who looked to be the ages of 30 to 34 years old, addressed me through the passenger window and asked, "Hey, where you want to go?" "Oh, I need to go to the bus stop that takes me downtown. It's only 10 minutes away." "Well, I can take you downtown if you like. I'm gonna pass by that area. I can drop you off there and you don't have to even pay me." Now, at this point, a red flag should have gone off in my head, but I thought that this man just wanted to be kind, and I really didn't want to go through the hassle of taking more than one trip. So I decided to hop into his car and we would be on our way. Looking back on it now, it was a big freaking mistake. Now, there are different ways to head downtown, and I knew a couple of ways. As the man was driving, he started to take different routes that I've never honestly heard of before. Still no alarm bells were going off, as I assumed he was taking a shortcut to get away from the traffic. By this point, 20 minutes had passed, and I began to feel uneasy. Usually from the bus route I take, it only needs about 20 minutes to get downtown, where there is little to no traffic, but I brushed it off once again. Then suddenly the man began to speak in his calm yet suspicious tone. "Hey, do you mind if I use your phone? I want to see if you have any videos or music I can send via Bluetooth." I found this to be a strange request, but seeing the man was giving me a free ride and the fact that I didn't have anything private on my phone, I handed it to him as I didn't want to be impolite and was just trying to break the awkward atmosphere. He played with the phone a little bit, then proceeded to put the phone with his own under the empty space of the driver's door handle. Doubt began circling my mind and I felt vulnerable without my phone. Yet, despite all this, I silenced my doubts and stared out the window. The feeling of dread and uneasiness only grew more and more as I was not able to make out where we are exactly anymore. As the man kept driving, I only started to see empty roads, with only deserts on both right and left sides, with only a couple of old, worn-out, rusty shipping containers. It began getting darker at this point, and this is where things get even creepier. The man proceeds to pick up his phone and began to speak to someone at the end of the line, shouting the following with a very angry voice. "I'm coming to fuck you up, you motherfucker. You better prepare yourself, as I'm coming to beat you up, you son of a bitch." As soon as the man ended the phone call, I knew something was absolutely wrong. Looking more closely at the phone he was holding, I was able to recognize that the phone he had was a type of phone that doesn't even have Bluetooth. Alarm bells start ringing loudly inside of my head. The whole call came out of nowhere, and I could feel a dread, and the fear was absolutely real. I asked him for my phone, growing nervous and impatient with each word escaping my mouth. He looked at me with a strange and annoyed look on his face and said, "I just wanted to see what you got on your phone." Now, by this point, I had enough and sternly told him, "Just give me my phone back." The anger and fear barely contained inside my voice. He hesitantly obliged after muttering back and forth, and I just knew I had to get out of this car now. Feeling a rush of adrenaline, I decided to pretend I was talking to my parents and create a scenario where there was an emergency and that I had to get back right away. So I began telling the man that I need to return back immediately and told him to drop me off right there and then right now. As I was seeing an upcoming traffic light, I knew this was my only chance of escape. I was not sticking around any longer to know where this man is taking me to God knows frickin' where. As soon as the man stopped at the traffic light, I spoke to him in my most intimidating voice to open the passenger door. Luckily, there was a couple of cars that stopped next to us, and thank God the man responded with a menacing look and pressed the unlock button. I got out of the car faster than you can say "fuck this shit, I'm out," and went straight to a small run-out coffee break stop in the middle of nowhere as the taxi sped off. I went inside, asked the server if the downtown was close by, out of breath with sweat dripping down my forehead. The server looked at me with a confused yet irritated face and said, "You know you're out of the capital, right? Heading to the city of Zarqwa." Shit, I thought. Friggin' shit, as I proceeded to call my parents to pick me up from the middle of nowhere. God knows I am not taking a taxi to get back home or anytime soon. Thinking about it after a while later, the man planned on kidnapping me from the start, trying to take away my phone so I would not call for help, then proceed to pretend he's having a fight with someone on the phone to secretly message his buddies that he's close by. Greasy black-haired taxi fuck. Let us never meet again.